we're back and we are going to be making a patriotic wreath that you can use for many holidays such as Memorial Day that we just had last weekend, 4th of July, Labor Day, and then if you wanted to have it for Veterans Day, you could use it as well. So I'm going to use poly burlap. I'm going to use a roll of white. I'm going to use some navy blue, and I'm going to use some red. What we're going to start out to do is we're going to take your, now I'm going to use a 10-inch wreath form that has 5 crossbars and it has 4 regular bars. And usually you always start on the second row for your first row, and then either you use the third row for your second, or you can go into the middle. And the middle is always going to have your plastic mesh into it, so you can always have your centers. So what I do on every wire form is I'll take my wire form, I'll put it over my plastic mesh. I will go ahead and I will outline on the inner of the last bar here. And once I do that, I will cut it out, and then I will attach it with zip ties to my wreath form. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, attach it to the wreath form, and then I'm going to come back and show you how I cut my petals to do the Dean Michael daisy petal for this wreath. So we're back, and I'm going to start cutting my poly burlap mesh, and I'm going to show you a way that I have learned from watching many tutorials on how to prevent fraying from the Dean Michael daisy petal. So what I'm going to do with this, first I'm going to make a clean cut over here so we have a clean edge. And this is my wood burner, which has the chiseled edge on it. I purchased it from Walmart or Amazon. All of my items, which is my glass cutting board, which you use for a wood burner, my regular cutting board here, my little snippers that I have, all the items that I use in tools, I will leave them at the bottom of this video, and there'll be an affiliate link so you can purchase them, and it's all the way down to the zip ties. Whether it's the poly burlap, I'll show you all the different types of links. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wood burner and make sure that when you are using a wood burner that you are in a well-ventilated room, or you use a mask. Well-ventilated room means that you're like have maybe a fan going or something. I'm going to do a cleaner cut on this one. So I'm going to end up cutting these probably about, let's see, I'm going to do this. It's 10 inches by 10 inches wide, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it about 10 and a half, and I'm going to let it overlap a little bit, because then I'm going to show you how I take my wood burner and I seal it to where you actually have less fraying. I like to do a lot of different type of petal styles that would prevent fraying, and even though you do use a wood burner, it is sometimes you still get fraying from it. All right, so what I've done is I have taken curl side up. You have your finished edge at your top and the bottom. Okay, what I do is I'm going to take this side, which has the finished side, and I'm going to put my corners together at the top, and I'm going to try to put the bottom ones down here to where they match. Now if it's not even it all after you do that, this is where we're going to show you, and let me see if I can get you to come in a little bit closer here. This is where I'm going to take this and see where this edge here, you have the finished side right here underneath, okay, and you have the overlap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of my little clips here that I have, and I'm going to clip this side here. So you want this side to stay as even as possible. And then I'm going to take my wood burner and I'm going to go just a little bit over the edge of where that finished side is. So it seals it together. So even though you've cut it once, you're going over it again to seal it. Okay, so now you have the seal, even though you cut it here, you have a sealed side over here. So when you take it off, you'll have a sealed side. See, so it's kind of like a little pocket. And then for this over here where the edge is off, on this little corner here, I'm going to just take this and I'm going to go over and be very careful that you don't burn yourself, because Lord knows that I've done it quite a few times. Okay, and I'm going to take the excess off. And then what I do from there is and I get little rubber bands from the dollar store, a package that has 500 for like $1 or $2. And what I do from here then is I have the finished side on this side, and I have the seal side on here. So make sure you always have your finished edge on the same side of all your petals, no matter what type of petal you're making. I'm going to have this little corner underneath. I'm going to hold it here, and I'm going to start gathering. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start shaping, and then I'm just going to take my edge and tuck it under. And I'm going to take a rubber band, and I'm going to, whoops, rubber band broke. Oh, no, it didn't. Hold on one second. Sometimes your fingers just don't want to work, right? I take my rubber bands and I will put it around 2 or 3 times so I have my edge, and then I kind of like shape my petal so that the other side that was the not finished side as well, which is underneath, is going to be underneath where my finished side is here. Now, if I want to be like a little perfect, if I ever see an edge, I'll lay it down on my glass cutting mat, and I will take my wood burner and I will go over the edge ever so lightly and ever so, just barely the edge. So it seals it there to where you have, see how the edge is? You don't have to worry about it fraying, but yet you have your pretty little petal like this. And this is what I'm going to do with the white, the blue, and the red. And with this one, I can tell you that we're going to need a total of 9 navy blue petals, 13 red, and we're going to need 12 white, which is a total of 34 petals for this, this wreath, which means that with each roll of poly burlap that you have, you'll be able to make 2 of these. And I know the poly burlap has gone up quite a bit in the last year, and I know these rolls probably cost me $10.50 a roll. If you ever get them where they're, on sale or something, or you get a discount, I would go ahead and get them as much as I can, knowing that your basic colors you're always going to use no matter what. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the blue so you can see what the blue looks like. I'm going to cut an even, clean line. I have people that when I post my flowers online, how do you get your petals to look so, good and they don't look like they fray? Well, this is what I do all the time because I hate fraying, and I want my clients who purchase my wreaths to really, love their wreaths that they get and what they paid for, and that's worth what they paid for. And they like it so much that they, let their friends know, and then they contact me. So I'm doing the same thing again. I'm sorry, curl side up, finish side on the top and bottom. I'm going to take the corner over here, and I'm going to do the corner. Now, it doesn't matter if the side over here it overlaps. We're going to get rid of that too. And we're only going to use like 10.5 is where I go. So you get a little bit more out of the roll. So the corners I'm putting up at the top, if it's going to go for me. I'm going to take my little clips, put them there. I'm going to put one here. And probably because it's blue, you can't really see it, but there is underneath here is where the finished side is. Or if you want, you can always turn it over this way and you see the finished side, and we're going to go just barely over the edge. Barely over the edge. And it's going to seal it. So we're going to do that. And it helps the fraying so much. And then even after I put my petals together and I put my complete wreath on, I still go and I spray each wreath with a clear Rust-Oleum clear mat. So I'm going to flip it again so you can see where the edge is right here. And I'm going to slowly go over that. And I'm going to seal it all the way up where you can't have any overage on it. And I'm just going to go along the edge here. Okay, so now this petal, you have your finished side here, it's sealed. I mean, it's going to be really, really, you don't have to worry about any fraying whatsoever. So like I said again, tuck the side under, I hold it here, and I just start gathering. Now you can do it, I've done it this way too, where I put this edge up and sometimes in the middle I'll stretch it and I'll pinch it in the middle, and then I'll just gather on each side, and then I'll gather here, and then I'll gather here, and then what I'll do is I'll wrap these little ends under like that, and get my little rubber band, just one of them, and you don't have to worry about the color of your rubber bands because you're not going to see them because you're going to have your zip ties. So do that, and then like I said again, you just form your petal, and now you have two different petals, your blue one and you have your white one. So they're still like cupped. That's how the daisy petal is supposed to be. And we just I just keep playing with them. And then if I see any little edges, then what I'll do is I will kind of take it down here and I'll do the same thing. I'll take my wood burner and go across the little edges and stuff. And it's a little bit more time consuming, but I would rather take the time to do that than have a customer who has a wreath that they've received that is fraying, and it's unacceptable to me. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish doing all of our petals like this, and we'll come back and start putting it together. I thought I would show you real quick on how I am going to do the petal again, where I'm burning it several times to seal the edges. So what I'm taking is our curl side up, finished side at the top and bottom. This is the red. Here is your finished side. This is my left side where I have the tattoo. And I'm going to pull this corner, the finished side, over to where it lines up with the bottom side. And then once I have it down here, and I got the corner, I'm going to take my little clips and I'm going to clip down. And I kind of like flatten it where I have my crease on the bottom here. I flip it over, and then this is the side that is extra, and I'm going to just go over the finished side just ever so barely. Be careful with the wood burner. That way this side is sealed, and you have an edge that is sealed, and you won't have to worry about fraying. This side. This one has a loose one, so I'm going to take the loose burner and just take it off. And then I'll flip it on the other side just to make sure that it is sealed all the way, and I'll just barely take my little edge of my wood burner and go along this side. Like I said, I don't like the fraying at all, so I'm going to make sure that it looks decent. So then we're going to throw away our additional stuff that we cut off. And so you have like your little pocket in here. So this side is completely sealed. Now this is your regular finished side here, and this is going to be your other side. Okay. So then I'm going to flatten it out. This is the center. I kind of stretch it, and then I pull it in the middle to where I have my little gather. Then I'm going to gather over on both sides, and I want to make sure that what I have underneath is getting gathered too. And you can flip it this way if you want to, and then gather again. And once I have them like this, as you can see, okay, some people will take the sides and flip them this way, and then they'll make their petal that way. What I do is I take this side, I fold it down, I take this side and I fold it in. Okay, I'm going to squeeze it, and I'm going to take my petal and I'm going to start forming it, because you want the underside to be underneath. Now if I see that anything is going to hang off on here, what I'll do is I'll undo it and I will lean it over, and then on the side that was their open side that was finished, I'll ever so slightly go over the edge. And because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to seal both sides, because you do have that finished side, and once you just barely go over it, you're just going to take it and just finish it all the way down. Ooh, and that was hot. That burnt my finger, so be careful. All right, so let me clean this off, put this over here. So we still have your finished side here, and I will squeeze, gather, gather, and I'll do it on both sides. And now that you have it here, I will fold this one down, fold this one over, start putting it underneath. Then I will take my rubber band. I love my little rubber bands from Dollar Tree or Dollar General. I don't know if any of you have. I know everybody has Dollar Tree, but I'm not sure about Dollar General. And I will just make sure that the underneath is flat, and I keep just shaping it. And if you have really good poly burlap, like this spread is very good, I will just continue to shape it to where all the edges are good. And if I find any little bit that I don't like, then I will take my wood burner and I will just barely get the side like that. But what you're looking for on the daisy petal is to where, I mean, you can have it where it's more flatter than a little curve here. I like the curve because it's like a little cup. I don't know if you can see that. So, and then of course you'll have your zip tie that's going to be there too. I'm going to put another rubber band on this because this edge did not get put in all the way. All right, so, and your zip tie is going to go just above where your rubber band is. So I thought I'd show you how I do, you know, another petal like that to where it's less fraying. And then of course when you spray it with Rust-Oleum clear matte afterwards, and it looks really good. So we'll be back momentarily to put it together. Okay, we are back and we're going to try to get this wreath put together, and I'm trying to see to make sure the camera is going to get the full view. All right, I'm using my zip ties. We have our 10-inch wire wreath form, and I have got the plastic mesh already zip tied into the center of it like this. So we are good to go on that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with our petals, and I'm going to start off with the blue. And since we have 5 different sections, from the first crossbar, I'm just going to go past the second crossbar to see how it does. So we're going to go on, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 bars. We are going to start on the second, and I'm going to go right before this first crossbar on the second row. I'm going to put my zip tie under, and I am going to pull it through and zip tie our first blue petal down. And the reason I have band-aids on my fingers is because I burnt myself with the wood burner, because I tried to catch it as it was falling off my table, and Lord have mercy, let me tell you, it was not fun. So just be careful when you're using a wood burner. I take my little ends of my zip ties and I always pull them down. Now this is on the left hand side where my tattoo is. That's the finished side, and this is the unfinished side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of lay over the finished side against the other one, the non-finished side. But even though this is, we've already sealed it by burning both of them, I'm just putting them next to each other to see how they're going to look. And also make sure when you're putting your petals down and you're doing your zip ties, that your zip ties are always in the same direction as well. So I'm going just a tad over where my rubber bands that I had were, and I'm just snipping off, and here's the finished side. And if it feels like it's not straight or anything, I will take another zip tie and I will go the opposite direction. This is going to be a little bit more difficult because I'm right-handed, and my thumb and my forefinger on my right hand is the one that got burned, so it's not been fun. But I want to get this video out so everybody can see the way that I do my petals, where I seal them, fuse them together so that it's less fraying. Okay, I'm going to push these bibs over, and I think we're going to use, well, I want to try to do, let me push this over, and I'm going to take this and put it over just a tad. And this one I want to go over a tad. So let me get my zip tie in. And you're always just placing it just a little bit over the previous petal. Now there's some people that have a daisy petal with a little bit more flatter, but I like the curved on mine. So it's going to stand up a little bit more, which gives it more volume. Zip it down. I think I'm going to put another one on this one to make this one straighter too. So I'm going to move it over, go the opposite direction. And pull it tight so it straightened it out a bit. And I'm going to zip that over. Do I think each one I'm going to have to do that because it's not laying exactly the way I want it to, so I'm going to go ahead and do double zip ties on everything so it straightens it out. And that's just the way to fix it, and sometimes you have to do that. Okay, I'm going to move this over a tad more. Because what I'm trying to do is I have a total of 9 blues that I want to use. Let me put this through like that. And what I want to do is I want to put 5 on the second row. And I want to do 5 on the first row, but 4 on the second row. I think that should give us enough blue. I think that one's going to be okay there. To move this camera again. I want you guys to be able to see the entire thing. So I do apologize. Let's see if this is going to be easier for me with my handicap finger and thumb. Oops, come back here. Let me play with this petal a minute. Push this one over so they have enough space. Okay, so we have a 5 right now. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is going just from the first bar and the crossbar, and it's going down just 1 petal below the second crossbar because this has 5 different sections. And you can always mess with them exactly how you want them placed. Okay, then I think I'm going to start off with red. So red will be here. It's going to cover that side. It'd be nice if I got the zip ties to go the right way. What is everybody doing today? I hope everybody has a great Sunday afternoon. Our Sundays are mixed with going to church. We had VBS this week, so we had a lot of fun with the kids. They had lots of fun, and I helped out with that this time. So the kids had wonderful fun. Let's see. This one just doesn't look like it's holding right. Everybody's got a second one. This one doesn't have a second one. Let me see how this looks. Okay. I always like the way my petals just, I'm gonna go this way a little bit. Okay, the next one we're going to do is white. Let me move all my petals out of the way. And let's see if I can go backwards. Usually I go the opposite direction, but okay, so we're going to put a white one here. And it's going to go over the finished side over the edge. Then we'll do another red one. Just continue on the second bar, which is your first row, where we're going to alternate the red and white and red and white. So that's where we've gotten so far, and I'm going to continue. Let me have this get pulled out a little bit more. So I'm going to continue going all the way around, and if I don't think that my petals are sitting correctly, then I will do 2 for each petal, just so that it looks like it's sitting in the right direction that I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and continue around with the red and white, and once I get done with the first row, then we'll be right back. Okay, we have got our first row on, and I have a total of I think it was 8 red, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 red and 7 white petals. Now I'm going to go ahead and I've got 4 blue petals that I'm going to put down. So I was just trying to figure like where exactly I wanted to place it in order for it to look relatively, you know, good and full. So, and we may end up having to do a third row, but we'll have to see exactly what goes on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the blue in here, which means I'm probably going to go down about 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a 5 row, 5 squares per inch. So I'm going to go down 4 squares, and I'm going to bring it down the 4 squares, and I'm going to try my first petal. Now this is trial and error all the time, because if it doesn't turn out the way I like it, then we'll take it all apart and we'll do it all over again. It's called just learning as you're going, or I mean, I've made 3 of these so far, but each one is different because depending on the, sometimes the 5 wire that you get are, you only have a smaller center, so that's another thing too. And when you have a smaller center, then it's easier with your petals and so forth. So I'm going to try to get this as close as I can with each other, and I'm only going like maybe 2 squares over, and I'm going to put my next one down. Next blue one. I still think I'm going to do the 4 blue. And these, I like making these because you can use them for various holidays. 4th of July, Memorial Day that just passed, 4th of July, Labor Day. So you have a wreath that, at an actuality, you can use that all summer long if you want. Which is really good because I like using a certain type of wreath and being able to use it for multiple times, because when you're buying one wreath, then you can use it for multiple purposes, and it's cost effective is how I look at it. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I like that look. Push my little knobs over. And now we're going to start. Now we started with red before, but I think now I'm probably going to have to do red again, because we're going in a little bit closer. You try to line them up as much as you can, but if it doesn't, then it's not going to be a worry because it's still red and white, and it will continue to go like that. Went over. I'm also going to try to do one of these in the Rita Petal. I've seen somebody do it in a Rita Petal, and I thought it was really a very cute idea, so I'm also going to try to do that as well. And I will try to put together a tutorial on that, because the Rita Petal is also another type of petal that I do a lot of different sealing constantly all the time. It's because I don't like it to fray. So I'm going to continue with the red and white till I get all the way around, and then we'll see if we're going to have to do a third row, or if I have a middle that I'm going to be able to completely use, and that's going to cover all of our area. So I'm going to continue all the way around, and I'll let you know how many total red and white I use on the second row, and we'll go from there, and we'll be back momentarily. All right, we are back here, and we have finally got the second row on, which is a total of 9 petals, which I did alternated red and white with a total of 5 red and 4 white. So we have our center here. So right now, with the total for this wreath, we have a total of 9 navy blue. We have a total of, let's see, we have a total of 13 for red, and we have a total of 11 for the white. So that's 33 petals just to make this patriotic wreath. And if you measure it from tip to tip, we have 22, a little over 22.5 inches in diameter. So that's a really good size wreath that is going to go on your front door. So I'm trying to adjust the camera so that we can get a complete full view of it. And I will turn it around to where, let's see, where it's going to look like the exact thing where this is how you would hang it, where the blue is kind of going to go over to the side a little bit. And what I'm going to do for the blue here is I bought some, you can put white stars on them, or you can put just a regular natural wood stars on them and hot glue them on there. But what I'm going to do is I had bought glitter felt stars with glitter on them and felt white stars. So I can use either or for this one, and you just peel, stick it, maybe attach a little bit of hot glue to it, and I'm going to add them to each one of the ends here. So while we have this here, I'm going to take one of these styrofoam discs that you get from Dollar Tree or Dollar General or any of your Hobby Lobby, Michaels, and I took my little sander here and I kind of sanded off the edges to where it's a little bit rounded. So I'm going to use that for our center. So when we place it in here, it's going to cover all of your little zip ties around the center. Now, for this center here, I've actually got some of this roping that's pretty thick and white, but your center can be any color. Your center, you can use red, you can use white, you can use blue, you can put stars on it, whatever you want. But this is for a customer, and she wants one exactly like the one that I had made previously, which has got a white roping with a red star in the middle. So this is actually called Tool Bench hardware that I actually purchased from, I think it was Dollar Tree. They have like an automotive section, and it's 25 feet. It's only like 1/4 of an inch round of this rope, and it's called Twisted Poly Rope, and it's made with polypropylene too, so it can withstand like using hot glue and everything. So I bought packages of this, and I know it comes in red, it comes in orange, it comes in white, it comes in green. So this is a pretty good thing for 25 feet. It's $1.25 at Dollar Tree because things have gone up, but that's what I'm going to use on our center here. So I need to take my wreath and put it off to the side now, because what we're going to do is I'm getting my little glue gun set up here, and hopefully it's going to be, actually it should be doing fine now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find my end of my rope, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find your center, and I'm going to place it in the center, and I should be putting some little finger nubs on because I've already burnt myself today with the wood burner. So I'm going to use a couple of these, and what sometimes I usually do is I will take my little Surebonder gun and make sure that you find your center here. So I'm going to find my center, and I'm going to make a little bitty hole here, and I'm going to fill it with some hot glue. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my center here, I'm going to hold it down, and if you want, you can actually use like a little straight pin to hold it down, and I'll hold it for a few seconds. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this rope, and I'm going to start, while that starts adhering here, is I'm going to put a little bit of glue around the edges here, like that. And then I'm going to, come on, stay right there. I'm going to overlap the end just a bit with this rope, and I'm going to let it hold it for a few minutes so that it adheres to it, and then I'm going to start taking this rope and I'm going to glue it in a circle as we're going around. So while I'm waiting for this to adhere, we'll be right back. Okay, so now that I have it set in the center here, all I'm doing is I'm putting glue around the outside of the styrofoam, and I just keep pulling and pressing down on the rope. And this is for any type of rope that you use. So you just put like a little line of glue around. I think I'm going to have to get another glue stick. Let me put that in. And then I just keep pressing the rope down as I keep turning it around. And actually, if you want to do this in the beginning, that way you know the rope is actually, or whatever you use for your center, is completely dry before you're ready to put it in your center. And I will leave the link, like I said, to all the tools that I use. I have two different types of glue guns. I have one that is a Ryobi. It's a battery operated, and it has a larger nozzle on the top of it. Sometimes it gives out too much glue, and I've been trying to find a different size nozzle, so I bought this Surebonder that has actually a smaller nozzle on it, so it only puts out a little bit of glue, thin strip of it at a time. And I like these ropes that I found at the dollar store, Dollar Tree. I haven't really looked to see. I know that Michael's and Hobby Lobby sometimes will have different types of roping that you can use. If you go over in the, I'm trying to remember what section it is. It's over like in the craft section, and they had a different type of twine. It's like over where like they have all the beading and stuff like that. Sometimes you can get different color ropes that are multicolored, and sometimes if they have them in stock, they have really great colors. Like one I found, it had pink and purple and like it was a tricolor, so that would be really pretty because by the time you get it done, it is just a gorgeous color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to take this all the way around and even putting it along the edges here. And once I'm done, then I'll be back and then we'll get this ready to put in the center. Okay, what I have done now is I have completely done all of the rope, as you can see, all the way around. And what I did put in was on top of the middle section, I put one of those glitter stars that I got from Hobby Lobby. It's called Glitter Star Stickers. It was only $4.99, and you got a total of 180 in different sizes, and they go from 1 to 2 inches. So this is the 2-inch one, and then if you look over here at my, try not to let them all fall out. Hold on one second. I have these little stars here that I'm going to use. I hope they probably all fell off, but they are like little glitter stickers too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up taking the backing off of these, add a little piece of glue to it, and that's how I'm going to put on this when we get done. But so I'm going to take those off now so that we don't lose them, because I had to make sure I had the same size of all of them. Otherwise you would have to actually go down and cut them down to size if you had something that was larger. And I think I'm missing ones. Here we go. Okay, so anyway, back to the center. So the center, we went ahead and we did the roping all the way around, and then I just put the little red star in the center, and then it ends up where I put a piece of glue here, and then I put a little pin cushion or a pin in the bottom of this, and they're called U-pins. They are this size, but I end up, depending on how thick your styrofoam or your centerpiece is, you may have to cut them down because you don't want them to go to the other side. So I cut them down and clipped them down, and that's what I have for our center now. So then we have a little bit of glue here and there. We'll have to get that off. And so there's our center, and now I have a 20 gauge wire. It's just white 20 gauge wire. I hope you can see that I'm going to place in the middle. And what I always make sure is I have it kind of like where it's even, and I know what the center is, and I put that down in the middle of my styrofoam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little pins, and I'm going to push this down in there so we have them securely in. And once that is in, and I know they're down, then I'm going to take my glue gun and I'm going to add some glue around it. Okay, and then I'm going to put a piece of felt, which actually I used the same color felt that I did to put for my felt back that I'm going to put on. And all I do with that is I just trace around the size of the wire wreath on the outside and cut it out. And I use, you can see it's got like a little bit of a different edge here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. It's called a scallop edge, and that's the type of scissors that you can get, which I will, like I said, that will be linked as well. And that's just a preference. You can use regular scissors if you want to. So I put that down in the middle, and then what I'm going to do again is I'm going to put a couple of these little T-pins. If you can see, T-pins, and I'm going to make them go in on an angle, and I'm going to push them down so that kind of holds it as well. And I'm going to put 2 in each corner so that will hold it down. I feel handicapped with this thumb here and this finger because I'm right-handed. Okay, so I'm going to push them in. Okay, and then I'm going to take a couple of the U-pins again, and I'm going to push them down because I want everything to be secure, and I'm going to push them in this way. can get them in that way. If not, here we go. I know I have another U-pin here somewhere because I cut 2 of them up. Okay. Push it down. Let me use my little handy dandy nose pliers to get this pushed down. There we go. Okay, and then there, I'm going to add a little bit more glue again because I just want to cover this because it's all metal. And we're going to put this over there, and I'm just going to press it down. That way our little things will come up here and that will stay glued down. And I'm going to let that sit while we are putting in our stars on our wreath. So let me set that over to the side. I'm going to take my little stars over here and I'm going to bring this back over. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I hope I have enough. I did have enough. I wonder if one dropped on the floor. No, okay. All right, so what I'm doing is, this is just like I said, a glitter star. Okay, now it has a sticky adhesive on the back. And since it is so sticky on the back, I'm going to take just on the tips the point of the star and I'm going to press down. Okay, so that leaves that there. And I'm going to do that for each individual edge of our wreath, or on each, edge of the petal. I did have one that actually did have, I actually ended up doing 3 rows because my center was really small. I had a 12-inch wreath, wire wreath form, and I ended up having to do 3 rows. So I actually had 13 stars, which actually, okay, this is not the same size. I'm about to get another one. If I can find it. Okay. Just press it down. Like I said, it's your preference of what kind of stars that you want to get. And you can use the wooden ones if you want. You can paint them white. You can leave them natural. You know, it's all in the preference of your client and also what your, just your liking and your colors. Okay, and I'm going to have to look for another one to match this size. If not, then I'm going to end up having to probably cut one out this size, which will be just fine. So in the meantime, I'm going to make sure I put one on here. But what we're going to do now is we are going to, let me make sure my petals, we're going to take this here and we are going to, got a little glue here. Like this is going to be the top, and I am going to put this down and put this out as far as I can. Okay, let's see what we got here. Push this down. Oops. And push this down in here. I'm going to pull it down, flip it over, and I'm just going to kind of like pull it down, and I'm going to twist it once. And then I will go back and completely fix it because I want to be able to move this around. And then you have the center of your wreath here. Let's do it this way so you can actually see what I'm talking about. Okay, so you actually have, let's see if I can get a better picture here. So this is what, and I'll have another star here. So you've got stars in all your petals, and here's your center. So that'd be your completed wreath then. And then this would be the top where you can either have the wire wreath form itself, or your client uses it to hang their wreath from. I like to put a little bit of a thicker zip tie, and then I just close it up. and they have that they have the choice of what they want to do. And then after this gets done, and I tie it down securely, then I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to take the white, because I didn't have any dark blue and I didn't want to put red on. And I take this and I have made little holes with the sharp pointed scissors, and I will zip tie this around so this is, you know, on the back, and you have a clean look then for your wreath. So I believe that this wreath actually turned out very good, and I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. And if you guys are interested in anything else, like I've said before, just let me know. And I am going to try to do one with red, white, and blue, but I'm going to use the Rita Petal, and I'm also going to use something called, I think it's where you actually roll the petals together. I don't know the name of it, but I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you along with the daisy petal, because I know that some people have a really hard time with it, and I did too a couple months ago. But like I said, you Google a lot and you watch a lot of tutorials and videos, and this I find is the best way to prevent any more fraying or anything like that. And like I said, I will put a cardboard down outside in my garage. I will spray the front of it with this Rust-Oleum clear mat. I will then let it dry. I will flip it over. I spray the back of it. Then I let that dry and I spray the front and back again, because I make 2 coats on it. So it kind of helps it prevent it from fading if it's on our front door. It also keeps it, the livelihood of your wreath, a little bit longer too, as long as someone takes well care of it. So this, and on that rope that I used here that was 25 feet, I actually used all but 9 feet. So for your center here, it's $1.25 from Dollar Tree for the styrofoam, $1.25 for your rope. That is a really great price for making a center, you know. And I like to try to keep things not as, this is probably only about maybe 3 inches in depth, because between a screen door and a storm door, your storm door, screen door, and your regular door, you want to make sure you have something that's not too thick, because you don't want it to get smashed in between the doors. So this is Lisa from Southern Yankee Crafty Creations. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and like and share my Facebook page. And also I will have this listed on a YouTube video as well. So I'm signing off for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this. You guys have a great rest of your Sunday afternoon. God bless you all. And here's where I take my finished product and I lay it on a piece of cardboard, and then I spray it with my clear Rust-Oleum matte finish, and I spray it, and then I'll let it dry for about an hour, and then I'll spray it again, let it dry, then I'll flip it over and I'll spray it on the back, so it's protected on both sides.